Nobody hears that but you and me.
Are you serious?
Yeah, we reacted to that the last couple of times, and I listened to the show. It's like nobody hears that.
Okay. It's just always surprising when this woman's voice says recording in progress.
Hi, my name's Tom Wise.
Hello, I'm Melinda McKinsey. You're going to be unpacking some shit with us. Today's Friday, right before the big holiday weekend.
It's funny. I've been in the business for 30 some odd years, and it's like, oh, really? Okay. Holiday weekends, I love them, but I've worked a lot of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Same here. I mean, I'm not working this one. And then it's just a thing to remember because Monday all the banks will be closed. That's kind of how the weekend affects everybody. I don't know. So what do you want to talk about? I have some very interesting things I want to get your opinion on.
Go on. I just want to talk. All I'm thinking about these days is work.
Oh, okay.
I want to sell carts at the Oldsmart flea market. I'm doing stuff, sending samples out to China. I'm doing the tape things, solar things. It's boring work stuff.
I don't know. I think, you know what? Most people that have a 9-to-5 job that work for another company, I think are very intrigued by people that are independent contractors because it's a lot of freedom in a lot of way. And then a lot of, you can never really fully let it leave your headspace ever. You can't just go home and be away from it because it's constantly spinning.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel like I'm a grandpa. When I got my new phone,
yeah,
I got it. So somehow it switched. Every time I get an email, I get an alert. It's like, it's like constantly blip. It's like a Chinese water torture. It's going off all the time.
You don't need that. Speaking of phones, yesterday I got a message from one of my ex's moms. Remember how I told you the ex's moms really love me?
Why not?
They just love me. And so I right away responded. She said, hey, I can't call you, but can you email me? She sent me an email, which I would occasionally hear from her throughout the years. She would check on me, and email is her mode. She can text, but email's her mode. So she sent me an email. Hey, I can't really call you. Can you, I just have a quick question. So right away, I'm like, of course, Dion, I'm here. What do you need? Then the response says, well, thanks for answering so quick. The reason I can't call you is I've been trying to get this Google Play card, and there's none online, and there's none in my area. Can you just buy them for me, and then I'll pay you back? Well, so immediately I'm thinking, I think her email has been scammed. Dion would never ask me to do that. She wouldn't even know what a Google Play card is. So I copy and paste it, and I text her, even though she's not a big texter. I was like, hey, Dion, because it's probably been 6 months or so since I've talked to her. We do touch base. And I said, I feel like your email's been hacked. This doesn't sound like something you would ask me to do. Let me know if this is you within an hour, because, she's 80 something. She doesn't carry her phone around or look at her phone. And I think she only takes it if she leaves her home, which is not a lot. You know what I mean? So I was surprised within an hour. She's like, oh my goodness, that isn't me. What do I do? So I said, change your password and let your friends know, because Dion would never ask anybody for money like that. You know what I mean? So it made me sad. But then I told her, I said, you know what? I'm so sorry this happened, but it was lovely to hear from you. And right away, she sent a heart emoji, which is a big deal for her to find the heart emoji, and said, oh, you too, dear. How are you doing? So it was lovely, but also, damn those scammers. Damn it.
It's insane. I was listening to a guy pretend to be an old woman who's being scammed by an Indian guy. And he's getting her to buy, Target gift cards. And he's putting on a false voice, pretending to be an old one. Let me see what I have here. So you want me to redeem the numbers? No, don't redeem anything. Just send the numbers. So I'm redeeming them now. Stop doing that. So he was jerking around with this guy. And apparently this guy was talented enough, skilled enough that he was able, once they wanted access to her computer, go here, get this app so we can see your computer, what things are going on. And they were going to start moving money around. The whole scam was to pretend to they were trying to give her a rebate,
Right.
whatever. So they end up giving her $4,000 more than they should have. They don't give her it.
Right.
Nobody's got anything. So
Right.
you should send us $4,000 back in these Google cards, Target cards, whatever.
Yeah.
And she's pretending to screw that up. But in the meantime, now that they've connected systems, he's working their systems while he's conversationing with them, and
Yeah.
he's clearing out all their data on all these people that they've been scamming. So it was, if there's any little, some of these guys are getting theirs.
Yeah. No,
Not
I
in a
mean,
bad way.
that's why you see them so much. I mean, my daughter's friend actually had a scam happen to her that was so horrible they put it on the news. You'll have to look this up. Here's what scammers can do now. They can find out the contacts that are in your phone and make a call to your phone so it looks like it's from your wife, your brother, your sister. So here's what happened to my daughter's friend. In the middle of the night, she gets a phone call on her cell that says it's her mom's cell. Now, if it's the middle of the night and it says mom's cell, high alert. You're not going to go, what kind of fucking scam is this, right? You're high alert.
Yeah, what's wrong with mom?
The person on the other end of the line starts yelling and says, I have your mom. If you don't send $1,000 right now. And so this girl's going, hold on. What do you want? What do you want? And so they were telling her to send money and where to send it to. And she was hysterical and she was yelling. Ended up because it was so, she was having a hard time understanding because they were screaming at her. They lost the connection. And so she called her mom back right away. And of course, her mom was sound asleep in bed, all of that. But I could see where that would work.
Absolutely.
So that was on the news. And that was something I would have never, if someone called and said, Tom's cell phone, and someone's like, we've got Tom, I wouldn't be like, oh, go fuck yourself.
No, please do tell them that. Finally, unpacking some shit with McKinsey. Go fuck yourself.
But these scammers do things that you wouldn't consider.
Yeah, that's extortion.
Well, yeah, it is. And when it was turned into the police, they said they've been having a lot of this, that they've been able to get into the phones and make it look like it's,
Well, we always get, you always get a phone call from, it looks like your area code, right? It's a scammer.
Yes, they've been very good at that. Also,
area code. Yes, ma'am.
Very briefly, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but did you see the news that came out about Bill Gates that he definitely has had affairs? I'm sad about it. But then when I was having this conversation with someone yesterday, they said, okay, he's a man with a lot of power. As a matter of fact, he's the fourth richest human in the world, Bill Gates, the fourth richest man in the world.
Who's richer?
I didn't look it up because I was very obsessed with his philanthropy.
Penis.
Not with his penis. I mean, the thought of having sex with Bill Gates is not appealing on any. I don't care how much money you have. Like, I actually still care about myself. I'm not doing that. But I'm sad. I'm sad that he was having affairs. They said it was kind of known that in Microsoft and in his foundation that he's, overstepped his bounds, which apparently before he became such a philanthropist, he was like a very hard employer. I guess he had a reputation for being tough and kind of embarrassing people and being hard on people. You're smirking, so you've got something to say. What?
Well, you said hard on, and I had a joke in there between philanthropist and philanderer. So maybe he's a little confused.
Maybe he is confused about which thing.
This is a good question. This is an interesting topic. And then Patrick and I were talking about this the other day. So a man gets married and he promises to be faithful.
Okay.
Woman doesn't have sex with him for how many months before it's like, okay, the deal's off?
Do you tell her the deal's off?
I think when you get married or this is just me spitballing. When you get married, baby, let me just tell you this. If we don't have sex for 3 months, we're not having the conversation, but I'm gonna accept that as you allowing me to go off and get whatever I want.
This is why the TV show Snapped is a real thing, because I would kill you. I'd murder you.
But hey, I'm just saying, here's Bill Gates, faithful husband. Let me spin this another way. Faithful husband, no sex for 6 months, 7 months. He's like, I'm trying to be faithful here. I've got unlimited resources. She's turned off the spigot. I've made a vow to be faithful, and you're making it really hard or not hard.
Why do you think he's cheating? Because she's not having.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Here's the thing. I was married to someone who was unfaithful over and over again. We had sex all the time. That's what was so shocking about
That could be that could be it as well. I mean, that could be, then he could just be a DB.
Yeah.
But it could be the opposite way. Let me just tell you, the opposite is more common than the other.
But it doesn't mean it was happening in this case.
Of course, it doesn't mean that. So we're not allowed to make any assumptions.
We can't make any assumptions. But I will say this: the thing that you spitballed, communication. We've talked about this, Tom. Communication is important.
Your marriage is in the dumper anyway. If you're going to go 3 months without having sex,
if you haven't had sex in 2 weeks, you need to be talking about it.
Right.
2 weeks is a long. Have a conversation, because I don't think it's normal unless someone's having a health issue or whatever.
Please, there's plenty of married guys going without for months.
Well, I don't think that's normal, and I think that would be a conversation.
And I'm just saying, at some point, it's like, good Lord, I've made a vow to a person who's now not interested in sex. So now what? Do we get divorced or what?
You kill them. Well, no. I mean, men and women have such different thoughts, because is it the same? Let's say the guy is exhausted from work. I mean, I dated one guy that was not that interested in sex. Like, I had to really force him to get into the mood.
Go on.
So
I'm listening.
Do I have the same rights? If it's been a couple
Absolutely.
months, then
Absolutely. 2 months. 2 months is the magic number.
See, my psyche couldn't handle that. I couldn't handle being married or being in a relationship and having sex with someone else. That would mess me up really hard.
Of course, it's not a good situation.
I'm sad. I don't know why I thought Bill Gates wouldn't cheat. Why did I think that?
Well, he comes off as the lucky to get any sex at all nerd is why you think that.
Yeah.
But now he's a man with unlimited resources.
So does it go without saying that if you're a billionaire, you're just going to cheat because you can? Because why not? You can do whatever you want.
I would hope that wasn't the case. It would be lovely if he would have his wife as excited about, now we can concentrate on a relationship and go, let's go into counseling. Let's go into deep, coupling. Instead, it's easy with unlimited resources. She's sitting on $1 billion. I'm not doing that to anybody anymore. I'm not interested in whatever. I'm not doing anything I don't want to do anymore.
Yeah.
You get in that mode in a marriage, you're done. Everybody's done.
Yeah. No, it made me sad, because then, of course, in my head, I made up the story. They seem to be working together, and they seem to be on track with,
It's a sad state of affairs. I mean, people looked at me and Tina and go, if you guys get divorced, nobody's got any hope. That's reasonable true. People, too easygoing folks. Okay, you guys get divorced, we're all done. We're all doomed.
No, I felt the same thing when you guys got divorced. Now, when I got divorced, my friends were like, "Thank God, we never liked that guy." I was like, "You're telling me? When did you tell me? A long time ago." Okay.
I lost money on you. I bet money, a lot of money. You wouldn't last nearly this long.
So I don't know. The Bill Gates thing made me sad. Also, have you heard about the incentives that states are giving for people to get vaccines? Because, we're still trying to.
Apparently, they just had $1 million lottery in Pennsylvania, didn't they?
Well, the story I found is about a 22-year-old that lived in Cincinnati, Ohio. Ohio, I guess, was struggling to get the numbers up. So this 22-year-old girl became a $1 million winner for signing up, and she got her Moderna, because it won't go into effect till after you get your vaccines, clearly. And then also an 8th grader got a full ride scholarship to any Ohio public university, which is, I like the idea of education more than giving someone cash.
Of course, but if you're 62, you're done with your education.
No, it's true. And so here's the irony. This girl that won the $1 million, she said she thought it was a joke, because the governor called her and said, "You won $1 million," and she's like, "Yeah. You're hilarious."
Go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself, which is my fallback, which works for a lot of things. She graduated from Michigan State in 2020. She's currently working at GE, and she's studying to get her graduate degree in aerospace engineering.
Oh, isn't that nice?
No. So she said that she plans to give some money to charity and that she's going to invest, and she's not
A
planning.
dollar is some money.
Well, but still, she didn't even have to say that. But she said that she's not planning. She likes her job, and
I'll be going to state getting extra shots so I can get into the lottery.
One of my friends was actually talking to me about this morning. She said, she's reading about all these incentives like money and education. She said it actually makes her feel very suspicious about it, because why are they pushing so hard to force people to get the vaccine? And I said, well, there's lots of school of thought, which is money always incentivizes people, always. And we're trying to get the numbers up, right? We're trying to get to a certain level. Because I did read that we are actually there. They said half of the US population has had at least one dose. Half. So we're getting there. And, money does work. I mean, I'm sad for the rest of us that got it ahead of time, because what do we win other than staying alive?
Yeah.
Other than that, what do we get?
Yeah, you got a free vaccine. And then we're getting the screwballs, hippies and the hillbillies to get there. I still have friends that are like, no way, reasonable people, no way I'm getting that vaccine.
Tell me, what are they saying to you? Like, what's their?
Yeah, I'll just kind of coast in here. I am not interested in getting a shot. I have not seen much death or destruction, so I'll just continue to.
Oh, because they haven't seen the death. Well, I think we've all learned during this pandemic, if it doesn't happen to us, it's not real.
I mean, my analogy was, if you don't wear a seatbelt for 10 years, doesn't mean that you're not wearing a seatbelt. The seatbelt don't work.
Yeah. Well, I wish they would have handled it better, right? The information better. Clearly, this is new for everybody. We're all learning. But because I think, and I was one of the people that said, man, this is happening really fast. My understanding is it takes years and trials. And so once I researched and learned why it happened fast and how then it made sense to me.
Absolutely.
But a lot of people haven't done that. And I can understand.
Do your own research. You did your own research.
I educated myself.
Oh,
but I feel like a lot of people don't. And I understand the fear of the unknown. I get that. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the long run. And congratulations to the girl that won the $1 million. Good
Amen.
for her. And the 8th grader. I wanted to talk to you about Airbnb.
Who?
Airbnb.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
You love Airbnb, right?
Why not? I love it.
And you've used Airbnb?
All the time, going out to Sun Valley.
I forget when I started using it. I remember when the concept came out, it was like Uber was like, you're not tricking me into staying to someone's house.
Come on to my house. I got candy.
But now, like, especially with work travel, there were times I would stay in homes in lieu of a hotel, like in Portland and Seattle. The homes were cheaper than the hotels were.
I've done that many, many times.
And so Airbnb's been great. But during the pandemic, stocks were falling. People weren't traveling, right? So the great thing about the CEO of Airbnb is he's always thinking about, okay, what do we do now? We've got to roll. We've got to be flexible, which I love that. Let's figure out what we can do. So they came up with they said over 100 new concepts that they've added into their contracts to let people know they're being flexible, because they learned with the pandemic and people staying home and being able to work from home, that as travel's becoming more open during the pandemic, people chose to stay in Airbnbs to get away from cities. That became a thing, and they were staying in them longer. So Airbnb decided to be more flexible. So here's what they did. They came out with something called flexible dates, flexible matching, and flexible destinations. So let's say I live in the city and I'm afraid of the pandemic. So I want to go somewhere safe, but I don't know where to go. I put in my criteria within 100 miles. I'm looking for a house with a pool. Then they find it for you. And then they say, if you're flexible on the dates, we can, which is smart, right? Which is so smart. So they're predicting, as the pandemic, people are traveling now, that this is going to be one of the most active times for travel, because now People that have stayed in that never traveled are like, I want to travel now because it's something I never did. I have regrets, right? And people that normally travel are saying, now I can work from home. I could go to Idaho any time of the year and go ski as long as I'm, you know. So they are, I'm so excited because I think Airbnb is so smart. So they just made this announcement the other day that people are now, because of the pandemic, living in Airbnbs as opposed to just traveling. So Airbnb is tapping into the housing market because they said the housing market, as we've talked about, is exploding and people can afford homes now. So Airbnb is tapping into that and working out deals where people could live a certain amount of time and it'd be cheaper. It's like renting, a rental property, which I think is brilliant because, we talked about on the show about because of lumber prices and everything that's going on, people are buying homes over $20,000 over the asking price, and it's happening within 24 hours. Does anybody want to buy a home like that?
Thanks, Obama.
Thanks a lot, Obama. So I thought that was brilliant with Airbnb being able to be flexible. And so they're now opening homes for people to live in for up to a year because it's cheaper than renting an apartment.
It's all being creative.
Don't you love it though? Don't you love these times that?
Absolutely. Well, I think about my situation. I went from a big, maintenance ranch, which I could have probably turned into an Airbnb, would have been, which would have been an option. But now I'm renting a room out for my brother. It's like, but I have all sorts of flexibility. I could go away for the weekend, do whatever I want.
And the job you do, you can do wherever you are.
As long as you get an internet hookup in this bad boy.
Yeah, as long as you have an internet connection. So they said with flexible destinations, and I love this, you could put in, I want to stay in a tree house, and they'll show you all the places that you can actually stay in a tree house. They have options for staying on your own island and for staying in castles.
Really? I've been in a castle and I've also stayed in a tree house.
Have you, you rented a castle, you slept in a castle?
Well, I slept in a castle in Ireland.
I want to do that.
I did the castle tour of Ireland.
How was sleeping in a castle? Is it very cold and damp?
No, they pretty much all upgraded. They're like hotel rooms, but when you walk outside, you're in the rooms of the castle rooms and the library of the castle and the bar of the castle, and they've renovated the sitting room in the castle.
I think that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Where'd you stay in the treehouse?
I was in Sun Valley. You could take a zip line down to the bathroom.
Oh my gosh. I love that though.
It was great.
Why not during these times when people have recognized, you know what? Quit showing that. Okay, talk about it.
Look at that. 20 years ago, 40 pounds ago.
Please explain to the people on iTunes what you've just done.
That was a picture that Patrick sent me yesterday. He goes, what was this, 10 years ago? No, that was 20 years ago, 2001. I was in Las Vegas. 220, probably 225 pounds.
So people on iTunes, it's a picture of Tom with polo shirt, over 200 pounds. And even based on the smile, you can tell he's not living his best life. But why you chose to share that now, we must talk about it.
Because I was looking for pictures of castles.
And that just became important.
Wow. Why are you so bitter?
Am I bitter or am I honest? Oh,
you're dropping truth bombs.
I'm just asking what the picture of you that's not your favorite picture has to do with castles. So
well, because I opened up my photograph thing and it popped up as the first one.
Get rid of that picture. You don't need to look at it anymore. That's in the past. That's past Tom, not current Tom. And why did Patrick send that to you? Is he trying to
No, he was just going through his computer.
So that's the outside of a castle. How did you determine which castle you wanted to stay in?
Might I suggest this? It was a Google Travels thing and a coupon for $3,000 airfare, 9 days, rental car.
That's so cheap.
The occasional breakfast, mostly not.
Do you feel like you were shuffled around a lot though? I don't really like being in a tour.
I felt that it would have been nice to maybe do fewer castles in the same time. I felt like you get to one by 4 o'clock, it's dark by 5, and you've got to leave by 8 to get to the next castle. So you really didn't get to experience the one castle,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
there were golf courses and there were forests to walk about, and we did some of that. But yeah,
that's cool.
but it was fun.
During the pandemic, I did a literary tour of London of like your favorite art authors and where they lived. I would do that in real life. That seems like a really cool thing to do. It's just an interesting, different, kind of.
Absolutely.
But a castle I would like to own a castle. Is it hard to buy a castle? How much are castles? How much are those castles that you saw in Ireland, Tom? Who owns them?
They're $487,000, and one was just discounted $44,000.
Like the mansion in Chicago.
Did you ever see the movie? It's a Quiet Man.
Quiet Man is not ringing a bell.
It's Maureen O'Hara and John Wayne. It's one of my favorites.
And because of the castles?
Well, because it's set in Ireland. It's a boxer from New York. He kills a man in the ring, John Wayne.
Yeah, he did.
He decided, I'm hanging it up. I'm going to move to the old country. I'm going to find my grandmother's space. So he goes to the small town in Ireland, and he wants to buy the house that his grandmother owned. And so there's the conflict of the whole thing. Well, we're not letting some outsider come in here. And he goes, well, I'm actually from here. And then, of course, he wants to marry the local attractive woman.
Of course he does. Yes, of course.
It's a great story. Anyway, I went over there and I had a beer. There's a famous scene at Cohan's bar is where there's a big fight scene. And then I had a beer at Cohan's.
That's very nice. So did it meet your expectations, the castles and all the stuff?
Oh, yeah, it was delightful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could you live in Ireland?
I think you could. I mean, I think that the winters are probably not, I don't think that they're brutally cold because they've got the Gulf Stream and the Atlantic currents and stuff like that. It's very wet. I think it's wet, very wet.
That's what I heard. I just would not enjoy that.
Yeah, but great place to vacation.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. But I love that Airbnb is doing that. So if people want to maybe live part of the year on an island or part of the year in a tree house, how long could you live in that tree house where you zip line to the bathroom?
I'm a simple man.
So you could live there.
As long as I would want air conditioning and heating, and I need a decent bed. But space is not important to me as long as there's the great outdoors. Live in a box, sleep in a box. I want to be outside. I'm looking at hiking in the forest or mountains or beaching or something like that.
Yeah. I've always been intrigued by those specialty hotels. I don't know if Airbnb has it, where you're under the water. And so you can see all the fish and stuff. So
wouldn't that be fun?
That would be fun, but would it? Would you always be nervous? Like, what if a shark hit it and then you drowned? I don't know. I mean,
what
about
the igloos? You ever seen those glass igloos up in Norway?
Yeah, I'm not interested in that at all. That seems miserable. No.
What's the miserable part? The
cold.
The miserable part is the aurora borealis.
I want to see that, but you can see it and not freeze in an igloo. I know you can.
Take an extra jacket.
So the man says I should go where the cold is because he's recommending it. So that's what I'll do. I'll do that. Okay, Tom, one last thing. I looked up what it takes to be a great leader. I feel like with you and I working for ourselves, don't you feel like you are your own boss, right?
For better or for worse?
And I believe we both work for people that were probably not great leaders. Have you ever worked for someone that you're like, oh, they're just not a great boss? Like, this does not work for me.
It's very odd. You don't really get that realization till you're older. At least I didn't. Like, oh, this person's in the wrong job.
Yeah.
Like I've known people where, no, you shouldn't be in customer service. You should be in a laboratory somewhere. You're super smart.
Yes.
You're a little bit sarcastic. You should be nowhere near the public.
Right. No, it's very true. Well, I thought these things were interesting, so I'm curious to see if you can relate to them. So it says the number one thing about being a good leader, and let's not even talk about jobs. It's like a leader in your community.
Of course.
So it says, do you understand what keeps other people engaged? You know what, that's important. I think if you're aware of things, you forget that not everybody else is aware of these same things, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when you go somewhere, you can read a room, you look at the room, right? That's what stand-up comedians do. You read the room. There are lots of people that don't read the room. And I've definitely worked for bosses that don't really care about their employees being engaged on any level.
They think if you're being paid, we don't have to, I don't have to appeal to you on
Right.
that level.
Right. And I thought this was interesting. Tell me what you think about it. They said, as a leader, do you instill hope in people? Hope is a big thing, right? Like hope, like I hope I make more money. I hope that this assignment is successful. It says there are two directions you can go. Either you're going to lead people towards fear and helplessness, which I think we've all been there, or you're going to lead them towards self-actualization and engagement. They said there's only two ways to go. These are the two options. And I've never thought of that way before for people that I've worked for, because as an independent contractor, even though I'm my own boss, I do work for other people. And I started thinking about that with all the vendors and people I work for. It's definitely been either a very successful relationship because they're like, yes, we know this is what you're good at. You do what you're good at. Or others have said, listen, you say this 3 times and you stand over here because it has to be their way. And it's never worked.
No.
Right?
It's always bad if somebody wants to over control.
Over control. And here's the final thing. It says, this is the most important thing in a leader, and that most people don't have this ability. And it says, do you make vulnerability an active part of conversations?
Oh, I like that. I like all of that.
Isn't it good? It says traditional managers lack the emotional courage to speak their truth and make it safe for others to do the same thing. And so they recommended to watch the TED Talk with Brene Brown, The Power of Vulnerability. If you haven't seen Brene Brown's talk, I think over 5 million people or something have watched it. She talks about what it is to be vulnerable and how scary it is, but also how rewarding it is. And I think that's a good concept in dating, because we talk about unpacking shit, and we talk a lot about relationships. Don't you feel like the biggest failure in a relationship is the inability to be vulnerable because it's the fear?
Absolutely. And I've always felt that it's best to be vulnerable in the beginning of a relationship. It's a safer spot to be vulnerable, because if you reveal something, and that's a problem, well, we can all move on. It's, you don't like it. So I was listening to some woman on TikTok said on her 3rd date, she revealed to her date that she has MS, or she has MS symptoms.
Okay.
So he dipped at that point.
Okay.
And she's like, well, better dip now than 6 years in to know where you're standing. So I'd rather reveal things early. I don't know what that would be. Yeah,
I don't know. I know one of the guys I dated, I don't know if I told you this or not, I found out after I've been dating him 6 months, his mom finally told me his last relationship, they were together years. The reason he broke up with her is because she had a brain tumor. He broke up with her because he said he couldn't deal with it. What the hell?
That's crazy. 3 years, 3 weeks.
They were together years. And that was the main reason. And then when I confronted him on it, he said, yeah, I didn't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with someone that's dying. And I was like, you know what?
We're all dying.
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry it took me 6 months to learn this terrible story, but that shit you got in. I would never think to ask, hey, just while we're getting to know each other, if you're with someone for years and they have a brain tumor, would you leave them? Like, I would just think that's not normal. That's not a normal thing to do, right?
Well, it's interesting. What if you were dating a guy 6 weeks?
Okay.
See, that was interesting, because when I was dating Christy about 7 months when I got sick.
Okay. I didn't remember how long it had been. Okay.
Yeah, because we started dating in December, I recall, and I was sick in July.
Okay.
That's kind of an interesting bubble where we're not living together. We're not this and that.
Still new. Yeah. Obviously everybody's going to handle that differently.
But she said I didn't even think about it, but she had that quiet moment, says, I'm either in or out here. I mean, he's got enough support. He's got family here. It's not like we're we're in a strange city in a strange land, and I'm the only one. So
Yeah, no, it's a big deal. And you would hate to think that you're with someone for years, and when you're your most vulnerable and you're most alone, that they would leave you. I mean, that's
right.
something nobody
No,
wants.
that was to her credit.
Yeah. So I don't want to end on that sad brain tumor story.
How about my hair? How's that?
Let's talk about Tom's hair, everybody.
Surf's up.
Look at, I was trying to encourage Tom the other day to try a little bit of a different style and just push it down to the side, but he says no, because he is familiar with the
I
pulling
want to
of
look taller.
he wants to look taller than 6'4", and so he does that little, has any stylist ever tried to go, let's do something crazy here, let's put it
You know, I did get a haircut about 3 years ago where it was all combed forward
okay.
and it's short, and I really liked it. Then the next 3 people couldn't duplicate it, so I went back to my default.
All right. I think men traditionally stay with the style that works for them. I think women have a tendency to change a lot. I mean, tell me, all the women that you've dated or had in your life, don't we change our hair a lot? Like, I
Yeah.
think it's a fun thing to do. Like, we'll be having a bad day and go, fuck it, I'm getting bangs, and we'll change our entire look. Or you know what? I'm bleaching, because you can buy kits and change your hair color like
I
that.
think my dad had the same haircut for my entire life with him for 20 years. Same haircut, short, and I think he got a cut every 2 weeks.
So was the cut, when it was pushed forward, was that like a favorite? Would you say that would be a favorite?
I liked it. I got a lot of compliments. My kids were like, "Ooh, that really looks good," and I said, "I know, doesn't it look sharp?"
And
Then I got another guy cutting it, 3 weeks later. It's like,
research that. Or, it doesn't matter. My favorite hairstyle for me was when the spiral perm was in. I had very long hair, longer than this, and it had those little baby
ooh,
spirals.
nice.
I was in love with I felt so pretty, so attractive. I look back at it now and go, that was a little crazy, but it was the 80s, and everybody was doing it, Tom. And so I blended in with the other curly haired girls. My hair is not curly, and I think you always want what you don't have.
Of course, it's funny. It's bizarre. My there was a woman, a little girl I knew, was neighbor, blah blah blah, curly hair, and all she wants to do is iron it. It's like,
Yeah.
And if you had straight, all you want to do is wave it.
Yeah, yes, that was my favorite. So, all right, to wrap this up, I have a fun thing. So we talked last week about last Friday having a surprise question, and whoever answers it first on YouTube will give a prize.
You blew up the internet with that gambit.
So let's do it today. And the first person who answers this question on YouTube, they can choose. I'll either send them Plexiderm, which is a serum for under eye wrinkles, or Power Swaps, which is a tooth whitener that I also sell. Or what is anything else? Any other suggestions on prizes?
Locals could have a Waterlight.
Or a local
Locals.
could have
I'm not sending a Waterlight out. It cost me $28 to ship it.
I will send Power Swabs or Plexiderm wherever these people are. But here's the caveat.
Do we have Christy's address is the question.
You must answer this question.
Christy, listen up.
First on YouTube, okay? So don't post this show until later in the day so everybody has a fair shot at it, right? Because people that are working during the day post it in the evening.
So with the retirees like Paula, let's not give her a leg up.
So
go.
It needs to be a personal question from either you or I. I have a funny question in mind, but do you have a personal question about you that nobody would know, that they would only know by listening to our podcast? You?
Go I'll think of one.
So here's my funny one. And we can do this later for other prizes, but this is for the prize. You must answer this correctly on YouTube, not Facebook, not
Christy, are you listening?
Not Instagram. And you must be the first one to answer this question. So the question is, what's Melinda's favorite position? Okay, that's the question.
What
is Melinda's favorite position? And here's the answer. Ready? On the couch with a bowl of nachos. That is my favorite position. On the couch with a bowl of nachos. If you answer that, then you can request which prize you want, but it must be the first answer on YouTube. What do you think, Tom?
I love it.
Okay. So
On that note, my name's Tom Wise.
I'm Melinda McKinsey. Thanks for unpacking some shit with us today. And we're very excited to see who our winner is going to be today.
Yes. Have a great Memorial Day. Is it Memorial Day weekend?
Yes, it is Memorial Day weekend. So are we back on Monday or are we on vacation?
We'll see. Let's play it by ear. By the way, do not go up to somebody who's serving currently or have served and say thank you for our service for Memorial Day.
Yep.
They don't like it.
They don't?
No, because Memorial Day is for those that didn't make it.
Oh, okay. This is the first I'm hearing of this.
Yeah, I've seen this leaking out on Facebook, and it makes sense. Memorial Day memorializes, we thank those that have given all, the ultimate sacrifice.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not, Veterans Day is for people who have served and still alive.
Got it. Okay, good to know. All right. So we will see everybody when we see them.
See you when I get glasses. That's another one in the can.